Right.
Folks, this is my friend Palmer Alexander in St. Louis. And Palmer, through his media company, has done an excellent job of covering St. Louis experiences and pain of losing the Rams to Los Angeles. And so we're here to talk with Palmer as an expert. St. Louis, is it St. Louis? How do you say that? Or
St. Louisan.
St. Louisan?
Or St. Lunatic. Or
St. Lunatic, or, yeah, I like that. Regarding how St. Louis residents, how St. Louis football fans are responding to the Rams. And I'll start by saying this. First of all, Palmer, talk about your media company, what you guys do.
Yeah, I got something, and it's called In the Zone, and it's locally produced in St. Louis. However, now, because of the Rams coverage, we've been able to kind of spread ourselves all throughout the country. It helped out with you coming on, giving people in St. Louis a feel of what's going on in Oakland. A lot of coverage, what's going on in Vegas, we're getting it directly from you. Reaching out to Los Angeles, Seattle, and now Las Vegas. We linked up with Melissa Ferris of GirlsChatSports.com and met her through In the Zone. And then that spread to Washington, D.C., working with the plug from WGMC Radio in D.C. And then now work with Phil Mount Airy in Philadelphia and doing stuff with In the Zone. So now we're spreading it out, Zena, but you was one of the guys that really was there, too, when we was trying to get this thing going. And I just appreciate some of that advice in the early beginning because it's really paid off.
Oh, you were very welcome. I appreciate you guys giving me time when, frankly speaking, a lot of the traditional white media, was ignoring me. And I'm just being blunt, because I think for people who are seeing this for the first time, the quick backstory is that Mark Davis asked me to come up with a stadium plan.
Right.
And at the NFL owners meeting at Ritz-Carlton last year in San Francisco, and I openly announced, and all of the people from the white media ignored it, save for one person who's been a friend of mine since we were 19 and 22 respectively, and that's Mike Silver of the NFL Network, who put on Twitter that he was witness to what Mark Davis asked me to do, and he confirmed it. But other than Mike, who tried to get NFL Network people to get me on, they didn't. No one else bothered to talk or reach out. And so that's where the importance of social media comes in terms of giving African Americans a voice to really show you. And this is really what's going on in other ways that we know about, but I want to talk about this for this context. This is your show. What's happening. But enough of me. Palmer, my style is mostly you talking, not me. So tell my viewers from the start, what happened to the St. Louis and the Rams? Well, go ahead.
Yeah, what happened with St. Louis and the Rams, and it's a multi-pronged thing. A lot of blame you can put on Stan Kroenke, but it can only go so far. He's a businessman, first and foremost, and we understand and we respect it. But one of the biggest problems with St. Louis is just the region itself, especially when it comes down to politics. When St. Louis County When Steve Stenger, the county executive for St. Louis County, when he spoke out, said that we're not doing nothing about this stadium. We don't want no parts of this thing, and they left it all to the city. And St. Louis City couldn't carry the weight. It was just impossible. It was meant to fail, and it caused a lot of unnecessary urinating contests with elected officials. And who's left there, holding the bag is the fans. And it's jilted football fans. It is jilted taxpayers. And, with Missouri being a red state, and it's we all know how most people who vote red feel about big government. St. Louis County has 90 municipalities. I think that's 90 too many. So you have all these individual government bodies too in St. Louis County that don't want to give up anything, and then you have the St. Louis City with their druthers. So that's one of the main reasons that the Rams are not in St. Louis. Or I go a step further. That's why the NBA is not in St. Louis either, because when you don't have no unity with the city and the county, it makes it easy for Stan Kroenke to say, hey, these guys don't have their act together. They need to go back home where they belong. And you know what? That's where the Rams belong anyway. They should have never been in St. Louis to begin with.
Wow, that's dramatic. Educate me on something. How is it that we were treated to, I mean, from the outside looking in, with the task force that was put together, it was ran by David Peacock?
Dave Peacock.
Yeah. It looked like St. Louis, as Eric Grubman, NFL Business Affairs Senior Vice President, put it, really was ahead of the game at one point and had its act together. But from what you're saying, that wasn't the case. Where am I missing something?
Well, the thing that a lot of us didn't know, I mean, I got a chance to spend time and get a chance to know Dave Peacock and Bob Blitz, and I really appreciate the task force, allowing myself and the St. Louis American to be able to cover those guys and be privy to some of those discussions. And a lot of the off-the-record discussions led me to believe that the Rams were going to stay in St. Louis and St. Louis was going to remain an NFL city. I think the one part that nobody really gave him much thought was just the influence that Jerry Jones have in his relationship with Stan Kroenke. And when Stan Kroenke, the day that the decision was made, and when he said that, hey, this thing, started back in the early 2000s, that's when the Rams were at their peak in St. Louis. And for me, just that fast, I had to let it go, because it didn't matter how great the Rams were playing, no matter how many Super Bowls were not, they were going back to Los Angeles no matter what, because of the way that the whole deal was done and the way it was manufactured and the way it was, executed in St. Louis.
Was another factor, because I don't know the numbers here, season ticket sales? Were Rams fans rabid? Were they falling off?
It was steady. I mean, it was steady for the product that they put out on the football field. And again, I mean, that's another reason why if you see some bitterness towards the Rams, it's just the way that sometimes Kevin Demoff, he comes off as they glad that they didn't make the playoffs. They glad that they didn't succeed. And for the fans that were showing up, they feel like that's a little bit of a slap in the face, because they supported the Rams, even though that the Rams they just started kind of pulling back to a degree, especially from the community. I mean, it was just a lot of window dressing going on, and I just think that people understand business, they respect business, but if you're going to make a deal, you're going to move on to greener pastures, which they did. I would say just leave it be. I mean, St. Louis need to let their wound heal anyway. But when you start making pot shots or even jokes about the food or the cuisine, I just think that's a little bit distasteful, because right now people in St. Louis just don't find that funny.
Whoa, educate me on something else. You said pot shots about the cuisine and the life. Where did that come in? I completely missed that.
Well, it was a couple of weeks ago. He was at an event, and I guess he was asked about the cuisine, and he made an off the cuff remark.
You said he. Which person said
that? Kevin Demoff made an off the cuff remark about about being able to eat the cuisine in California instead of eating it in St. Louis, and just making a joke that maybe he may have been poisoned. And again, I think right now the wound is being fresh, and those jokes are not going to go over with this crowd in St. Louis. So just best, just not the same thing. People in St. Louis, honestly, they still want to root and cheer for the Rams. They still love Tavon Austin and Aaron Donald and Todd Gurley. They still want to root on for these players, but it's almost as if that they want to act as if the 20 years in St. Louis never happened. And right now, there's people dealing with the separation anxiety and not having any football, too.
Wow. When did it look like, take me something, when did it look like you guys had it in the bag and the Rams are going to stay? And then when did the wheels start to fall off from your perspective? It looked
good. It looked good all the way up until that weekend before the decision was made. When that Saturday, when Roger Goodell said none of the stadium plans seemed viable, then that's when it started to sink. I said, yes, this is going to happen. And I had to face reality. And listen, I was going I was going at it with Fred Rogan. You know, he was over at 980 The Beast. Me and him wasn't seeing eye to eye on that thing. And
he's in Los Angeles. He's in Los Angeles.
Okay, yeah, he's in LA. So me and him was going back and forth about that whole deal. I mean, he turned out being right, but when the onion is peeled all the way back, and then you get a chance to see who was really the players and how this thing was really played out, Zenny. I mean, how could you be mad? You can't really be mad at that. But then again, there's a sector of people, Zenny, that grew up the last 20 years, all they know is the Rams. I mean, I was 12 when the Big Red left, so when the Big Red left in 87, I mean, it hurted. I shedded tears. That's one of the worst winners of my life as a sports fan. The Cardinals losing 7 games to the Minnesota Twins, and then the Big Red leave. So with the Rams leaving, it hurted. But knowing why and the way it was, how calculated the move was, I just let it go. Some people don't like that, but hey, that's just what it is.
Is it right to accept, let me put it this way, why accept something as the way it is in a country where there are people who, in some cases, one person makes a huge difference to change things? And I say that in the context of Cleveland. Cleveland, under Mayor Michael White, filed a lawsuit, and by eminent domain was able to own and keep the image of the of the Cleveland Browns, so that when the new Cleveland Browns were developed, they had the Browns colors. And effectively, as someone pointed out, the Browns, it's like the Browns never left. Why didn't anyone in St. Louis try that? And why were St. Louis so resigned to just sort of, giving in?
Well, there's a lot of aloofness when it comes to elected officials, especially in the city of St. Louis. I think Mayor Slade has been mayor of St. Louis, let's say 2 or 3 terms too many. There needs to be some fresh blood down in City Hall. It's unfortunate. I'll take the Cardinals for example. When the baseball Cardinals wanted a new baseball stadium, and they damn near had to threaten to build a stadium in Illinois just to get some a reaction, from elected officials downtown, and then they do all this stuff, and there's still no ballpark village. They just got this huge bar with more bars inside of a bar, and all this happened on Mayor Slade's watch. So again, it comes from leadership, but it also comes back also on the people. I don't want to put it all on elected officials, because it's our fault too. You see, the people that are in office not doing their job, eventually you have to ask yourself, okay, maybe it's my fault that I didn't either vote or I did vote these people in.
Wow, that's heavy. Where is St. Louis? That's one question of that too. The other one is, the Rams are in a media market that is much larger than St. Louis by a lot. Is that fair to St. Louis to lose a team that has another media market that's bigger?
No, it's not, because we're still a top 20 market. It's just that, thinking about the media and the media coverage, I mean, honestly, the Rams had it made. I mean, they wasn't really criticized as they really should have been. I mean, especially with the product that they put out on the field. And sometimes too, the Rams' relationship with the media was kind of contentious at times. There would be weeks when they allow you to walk through the hall, and then you may go a whole year where you can't walk through the hall. All these little different types of mind games. When Spagnuolo was the head coach, he took down pictures on the wall, just kind of weird things. I mean, I've gotten chastised by the media. Well, matter of fact, last year I got chastised by the media and saying that I wrote a BS story about Kevin Demo, and the story comes out to be true.
What did you write? Tell us. What did you write?
Well, it was
sounds like you and Kevin are brothers, man.
Going back to April of last year, and while I write in St. Louis American, it was right after I was at a presser by the Fleischman Hilliard group with Mr. Woodcock, and they invited us and certain people of the media, and we talked about what were the plans and what was going on with that. And when you have those things, Zenny, you have the information that you put in front of you. You know what I'm saying? That's why just kind of wrapping it all up, man. That's why I personally present it in the way that I do. You know, it may not be the way that the Rams want it to be, but sometimes you can't put syrup on fecal matter and try to call it pancakes.
What did you say about Dunoff that bothered the media?
Because I said, well, what side are you on? You got your community-related team laying side in 98-degree weather, and you say you're committed to St. Louis, but at the same time, you're openly making overtures to the city of Los Angeles. And here it is, it's the LA Times that had broke 2 stories about Stan Kroenke and Mayor Butts. It's not the St. Louis Post-Dispatch. It wasn't the St. Louis American or Riverfront Times. This is the LA Times breaking 2 stories about the Rams. And so when I report something and using quotes from the LA Times, that, you know, the Rams get a little upset about that. But when it all said and done, I was telling the truth the entire time. And that's the thing that me personally I didn't care for. I mean, if it's a duck, it's a duck, right? I mean, why get upset because you call it a duck? If you know the Rams, one time when they started off, they had a PR guy, and they chastised me during the off season, and he said, "Man, you need to be showing us some love. You need to showing us some love." And they went 2-14, and he told me that if you show me some love, I'm going to show you some love. So I guess that meant that if I start writing, you know, more fluff pieces while you guys are going 2-14, you're going to do something to help me out. Those are the sneaky and the shady games that they like to play. And that's why the whole move thing don't surprise me, because, you know, they do have some shady people inside the organization.
Looking at, or having gone through what you've gone through, how would you look at the situation with the Oakland Raiders in Oakland?
First off, the Raiders belong in Oakland. I think that the NFL should have taken care of the Raiders from jump. There shouldn't be all this hand-wringing. I mean, when you think of the NFL, you think of the Raiders. I mean, the Raiders, to me, the Raiders are more of America's team than the Dallas Cowboys are. And I just think it's unfortunate that they got to make Oakland jump through all these hoops. I think it's disrespectful to the people that has supported that franchise, loved them even though they moved to LA, and still kept supporting that franchise, and then given the situation that they're in now. So, to me, I'm all for the Raiders staying in Oakland. That's where they need to be. That's where the heritage is, and that's where they belong, period.
Is there talk in St. Louis of either suing the National Football League?
I think there is some talk, but I don't think people want to openly start talking about it because the wound is still fresh. I say it's going to take at least 10 years for St. Louis to get their things together. And I think that's enough time for us to get some things solved, especially with our region. I want our region to have professional sports, Zenny, but the thing with St. Louis, the thing with Missouri is they act like they can't have good schools and enough money for police, or they can't have enough money for police and good schools. It's like, why you can't have it all? Why you can't try or make the effort to see if you can get it all? You know, the whole thing at the stadium was when people wanted a brand new riverfront, and here's elected officials talking to me about civic pride. They have no idea of what civic pride is all about, and I have to remind them what civic pride was about. Just like when the Cardinals are playing the Giants, you know, in the playoffs, and then you see that big shot of downtown St. Louis with the arch and all the lights lit up. What do you feel? You feel civic pride. So that's the same thing that football fans in St. Louis want. They want to feel a little bit of that civic pride, man. So it's like I say, it's a whole lot of things to kind of go into that. I don't mean to be kind of running around, but I'm just glad that we're able to have this discussion, though.
And in closing, let me ask you this question. When are you going to run for mayor?
When I'm going to run for mayor?
Yeah, mayor of St. Louis. Sounds like you're in that direction, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think that might be a good idea. I mean, I'm still getting my feet wet when it comes to politics. But I tell you something, I do enjoy these discussions, even though that we may disagree. I have no problem with disagreeing because I'm going to learn something. In an argument, there's just two people yelling. No, nobody's listening to nobody. So when you have discussions, even though we disagree, I want to understand why I disagree with you. I mean, and that's the attitude that I take with it. So I don't know, man. That may be a little too fundamentally logical to be a mayor. I don't know.
That's interesting. Well, I'm gonna break here so I can get this up because the file size is about at that point where it's appropriate. Palmer, thank you very much, and tell everybody how they can find the In the Zone show, please.
Or you can find me on Twitter at the legend KIL, one L and kill, but kill still kill. And you can follow me and on to A Train Lane and our group of friends all the way from city to city, state to state, worldwide on In the Zone, NTZ Zone Show.
Hey,
Thank you so much.
ask you,
Appreciate it.
Is there a network with all the people you're working with? Have they talked about forming some larger network? Because it sounds like a logical next thing, you know.
Yeah, well, they all under the umbrella. You know, I've been recruiting, and you know, I've been making the contacts, and so we just branching out, going city to city, man. I'm trying to land in Oakland, man. I'm trying to set up shop in Oakland. You know, maybe our boy Boss. You know, me and Boss, we made peace not too long ago, so that's, you know, we good now. Maybe Boss can do something in this.
Well, have you seen the video interview that I did with him?
I heard about it. I still haven't seen it yet, but I'm gonna check it out, man. The Boss, he good people though. He good people. He a good cat.
Yeah, I'll tag on Twitter. It was very well done.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, sir.
All right, Zen. See you later on In the Zone, bro.
You got it.